Hi everyone, happy Monday. It's the day after the weekend. That's Monday. I hope that you were able to get out on Sunday. It was beautiful. Today it's raining. You know who likes the rain? Ducks. What do ducks say? Quack. We're going to read one of my favorites, Make Way for Ducklings. I'm going to show you the pictures a little bit, read, and then show them to you again. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Make way for ducklings. And there's Mr. and Mrs. Mallard, and they're looking for a place to live. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were looking for a place to live. Mr. Mallard saw a nice place. Oh, there's a nice place, he said. Mrs. Mallard said it was no good. There was sure to be foxes in the woods and turtles in the water, and she was not going to raise a family where there might be foxes or turtles. So they flew on. There they go. When they got to Boston, they felt too tired to fly any place further. There was a nice pond in the public garden with a little island on it. That's a very nice place to spend the night, quacked Mr. Mallard. So down they flopped. There's the island, and there they are. There's a bridge. Next morning, they fished for their breakfast and in the mud at the bottom of the pond, but they didn't really find very much to eat. They're looking. Oh my. Look at that boat with the people on it. Just as they were getting ready to start on their way, a strange, enormous bird came by. It was pushing a boat full of people, and there was a man sitting on the back. "Good morning," quacked Mr. Mallard, being polite. The big bird was too proud to answer, but the people on the boat threw peanuts in the water, so the Mallards followed them all around the pond, and they got another breakfast, better than the first. Do you think that big bird was real? That swan? That's a boat. "I like this place," said Mrs. Mallard as they climbed out on the banks and waddled along. "Why don't we build our nest here and raise our ducklings? There are no foxes and no turtles, and the people feed us peanuts. What could be better?" "Good," said Mr. Mallard, delighted that at last Mrs. Mallard had finally found a place. But, what's coming? "Look out," squawked Mrs. Mallard. "You'll get run over." And when she got her breath, she added, "This is no place for babies, with all these horrid things rushing along. We'll have to look for someplace else." Quack, quack. Uh-oh. So she flew over Beacon Hill and around the State House. This is a big city called Boston. It's in the state of Massachusetts. We live in New York, in the town of Ossining. Some of us do. They're looking for a place to live in the city. I don't know. They're going to find a place. They looked in Louisburg Square, but there was no place to swim, no water. Ducks need the water. Then they flew over the Charles River. "This is better," quacked Mr. Mallard. "This looks like a nice quiet spot, and it's only a little bit away from the public garden, where we can get the peanuts. That looks just right, a place to hatch our ducklings." Nice big river called the Charles River. So they chose a cozy spot amongst the bushes near the water and settled down to build their nest. And only just in time, for now they were beginning to molt. All of their old wing feathers started to drop out, and they would not be able to fly again until they grew new ones. That's called molting. But of course, they could swim, and one day they swam over to the park on the riverbank, and there they met a policeman called Michael. Michael fed them peanuts, and after that, the mallards called on Michael every day. There's Michael, their friend, and there are the mallards, Mr. and Mrs., eating their peanuts. What's going to happen? Something's going to happen. After that, Mrs. Mallard laid 8 eggs in the nest that she built. She couldn't go visit Michael anymore because she had to sit on her eggs to keep them warm. She moved off the nest only to get a drink of water or to have her lunch or to count the eggs and make sure that they were all there. See her eggs? What's inside of her eggs? Who knows? Baby what? Baby kittens? No. What? Baby ducks. Right. One day, the ducklings hatched. First came Jack, then Knack and Lack and Mack and Knack and a Whack and Pack and Quack. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were busting with pride. It was the great responsibility taking care of so many ducklings. Look at all the little ducks. They cute? Little baby ducks. 8. One day, Mrs. Mallard decided, I'd like to take a trip to see what we can see and see what the rest of the river looks like. I'll meet you in the public gardens, he said. Take good care of the ducklings. Don't worry, said Mrs. Mallard. I know all about bringing up children. And she did. Bye, Mr. Mallard. We'll see you in a week. Bye, babies. Bye, Mama Duckling. She taught them how to swim. She taught them to walk in a straight line when they were called upon to keep a safe distance from all of the things like bicycles and things with wheels. They walked together in a line. When she last felt perfectly satisfied that they could follow directions, she said, "Come along, children, follow me." And before you know it, Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, a Whack, Pack, and Quack fell into line, just as they had been taught by Mrs. Mallard. And she led the way. They were going to go see their daddy. There's Mommy Duck, and there's all the babies in a line. There they are. They were waddling along shore until they came to a highway. Uh-oh. Do you think cars might be dangerous for the ducks? Whoa! Honk, honk. Mrs. Mallard stepped out on the street. Quack, 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 she said. Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Whack, Whack, Pack, and Quack were quacking just as loud as they could, and the cars kept speeding along. Oh, no! Who came to help them? Do you remember his name? They made such a noise that Michael came rushing with his arms out, blowing his whistle. I can't really whistle very loud. What did he do? He stopped the traffic so Mrs. Mallard and her ducks could cross the street safely. As soon as Mrs. Mallard and the ducklings were safe on the other side of the street, Michael rushed back to the police booth. He called Clancy at headquarters. There's a family of ducks walking down the street, Clancy. Family of what? Family of ducks. Send a police car. I think he wanted to make sure they were safe. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mallard had reached the corner bookshop and turned into Charles Street with Jack, Knack, Lack, Mack, Knack-a-Whack, Pack, Quack, all marching in line behind her. There they are. They're marching on the street of Boston. Everyone stared. An old lady from Beacon Hill said, "Isn't it amazing?" And a man who swept the street said, "Well now, isn't that nice?" Mrs. Mallard heard them and she was proud, and she tipped up her nose in the air and walked along the street. There she is. See under the car? They're her babies. They're all walking to meet Mr. Mallard. When they came to the corner of Beacon Street, there was a police car with 4 policemen that Clancy had sent from headquarters. The policemen held back the traffic, and Mrs. Mallard and her ducklings could cross the street. That was nice that the policemen were helping the ducks. Inside the gate, oh, skipped a page, sorry. They all made their way into the public garden. There they are. Thank goodness for Michael the policeman. Inside of the gate, they all turned around to say thank you to all the policemen. Thanks for helping us. Thank you. Bye. When they reached the pond, they swam across the island, and there was Mr. Mallard. There he is. He was waiting for his babies and Mrs. Mallard. There they are. The ducklings liked the new island so much that they decided to live there. All day long they followed and swam behind the boat and ate peanuts. And when night falls, they swim to their little island and they go to sleep. There they are, going on the island. That's the end of Make Way for Ducklings. And you know what? In Boston, there really is a big swan boat, and you can ride on it. And there's a big statue of Mrs. Mallard and little statues behind it of all the baby ducks. I'm going to try to find a picture so I can post it in the comments below. So you look for that and have a great Monday. Mwah. Love you, miss you.